back to my channel. So for today's video I am showing you my engagement photo look. So this is the exact look that I did for my photos. We took them about a month ago. Of course, if you're not planning a wedding, this look is still just a good full coverage long wearing look that you can wear for any special event. I'm going to do a full tutorial showing you everything that I use, and I'm also going to be sharing just some of my tips for planning engagement photos so that they go super smooth for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, the first thing that I did is I actually started with my eyes. I wanted to be sure and focus on them, make sure that there's a really nice crisp line, and so I do that by putting a little bit of tape, and I just put it right along here. I'll just show you. I just line it up from my lashes to where my eyebrow is. If you are going to try this technique or use this technique, you have to do your eyes first, because if you have, your foundation down and you put tape on there, it's going to pull up that foundation. Any type of event where you're going to need your shadow to last a long time, you need to use a primer. I use a primer every single day when I wear shadow. This is the Arbonne primer. I can't remember the exact name, but I really like it. It kind of has a little bit of like a color to it, so it helps with any discoloration, as well as it has a nice amount of tackiness. And with the palette that I'm going to be using, the shadows just react so well to having a primer underneath. It makes the colors pop and also gives the shadows something to cling to as well. So I'm just going to pat this in. The palette that I used for my engagement photos was the Bad Habit Inferno palette, and this came from shophush.com. I did do a video on some other palettes that I have from them, and this is one of their newer palettes. I love these shades. It's just a beautiful nude warm palette, and this guy is $10. Very happy with this. I think it's like perfect for fall and going into the holidays with these shimmery colors. So there is fallout, as you can see. There's some kind of around the palette. They're just super creamy that they kick up a lot of products, so you'll notice I'll be tapping them off quite a bit. First off, with this palette, I always go into Baked first. It's a matte kind of just cream color, and I put this all over the lid just to give us a nice base. And also this is what's going to cling to that primer, and then all the other shadows will be built on top of it, so it makes it really easy to blend then. Still using this blending brush, I'm going to go into Glow. It's kind of like a warm light tan color, and we're just going to put this right in the crease. While I do the other eye, I wanted to also share just a few tips about engagement photos as well, in case you are planning. And it can be a little nerve-wracking because you see so many incredible photos when you're, getting inspiration on Pinterest, and, everybody wants to have their photos turn out the absolute best. One of the first things to do is be really comfortable with your photographer. That's huge. And a lot of photographers too, they require that you do an engagement session with them before they do a wedding. That way then they get to know you. And I don't think my photographer required that, but I'm so glad that we worked with her before, and then we're going to use her for the wedding because Anthony feels really comfortable with her. I do as well, and that's I think something that will show in our photos on our wedding day is that we feel really good about her personality and how it meshes with us, and she knows us and kind of how we are with each other. And I think that's really important. So if you're looking for a photographer, I definitely recommend, doing your engagement session with them. That way then you get a feel if you want that person to be a part of your wedding, and you can also, see how your photos turn out and decide from there. But I think it's really important to kind of start to establish that relationship. And then next I'm going to go into warmth, and these two look really similar in the pan, so I'll just show you Glow and Warmth, but Warmth is just a little bit darker and a little bit more warm, so I'm going to put that right into the crease as well, just using that blending brush again. The next thing too, as I'm just going into Warmth in the crease here, is to plan your beauty routine beforehand. So whether you're getting ready for your photos or you're also thinking about your wedding day, it's important that you kind of have a game plan ahead of time. It's not the time to be bringing in a lot of new products that you don't know how they're going to wear on your skin. You're not sure how they're going to look in photos, but you want to, plan out ahead of time. I did this look a number of times before. I love to pull in new products, and I made the mistake of trying new stuff you know, when it's really important and then not liking the look. So I really kind of pulled everything out that I was going to use and kept it like in a little basket that was separate. That helped me a lot. That way then I wasn't tempted to try new products and just, you know, to be have a clear plan. So I did it the week of, I did it a couple times and tried it out, you know, if I got a new product, which a couple of these things are new, including this palette, and just really played with them and felt really comfortable because, you know, I was testing out products for engagement photos, but a lot of these are probably going to be in my wedding day routine as well. Now, as you can see, the colors kind of have like an orangey undertone, and a lot of people tend to kind of stray away from those tones, but they are perfect for blending and perfect for building when they have that little bit of an orange undertone. We're going to go in with some darker colors too, so it's going to look more brown, but don't be afraid to get a blending color that kind of has like a really warm orangey undertone to it. Next time we're going to start going a little bit darker. I'm going to go into Bonfire, and it's a little bit more of a narrower brush so we can really concentrate it into the crease. Also, if you are going to have a makeup artist for your wedding, having them do it for your engagement session is a really good idea. That just gives you an idea of, you know, how they work and how the look is going to turn out in photos. I guess, you know, the bottom line is that you want to be fully prepared and, you know what your look is going to be like for engagement photos and for your wedding day. It's not a time that you're still experimenting or you're not sure what your makeup artist is going to do. I could go into Smolder, but just to keep up with exactly what I did, I actually went into this MAC shade in Handwritten. It is honestly one of my favorite really dark matte browns. I just put that right in the crease. We're not going to pull this out really across the lid. We're just going to keep it really concentrated there. I'm going to go with the blending brush. That is definitely, it's not really an engagement photo tip, it's just a tip in general to have everything blend together and look really smooth. I used this $1 Billion Brow. It's the Brow Duo pencil, and I used there's a highlight and a conceal side, so I used the highlight side. I love using cream underneath, and I use this one more than the Anastasia one that has more of like a peachy undertone. I just like the color of how this looks. It really cleans it up. Then I just top that pencil with this little Wet n Wild single. This, I mean, I'm talking about like two of my absolute favorites here, but this guy too, perfect underbrow highlight. It's at Walmart, it's at Dollar Store. I talk about this a lot because it's so good, and you know, it's a great companion to have with any palette that you might have that doesn't have a matte underbrow highlight shade. And there's no reason to spend any more than $1 on this because it's so good. And then I'm just gonna go in my inner corner, and then we'll move on to the lid. So I'm going to go back to that Inferno palette, and I went in with this lit shade, so that's what we're going to use. Their shimmers are good, but they need to go on with like a packing type brush like this. This is the Morphe S4. I don't use like any other type of brush because it doesn't go on as even, so just put a little bit here. And I just did a very light amount. And then in that inner rim, I just put a little bit of White Hot just to really open up the eye. Underneath the lashes, I went in with a little bit of this Ignite shade and a little bit of Smolder, sorry, right here and here. Just, it added a little bit of smokiness. I didn't want something too dark and too harsh underneath, but at the same time, I think that it looked nice to kind of have it all be cohesive there. So that is the eye look, and then I add some eyeliner to the top, and I'll put some liner on the bottom too, but first I'm going to take off this tape and blend it out. My top liner, I'm using my Physicians Formula Eye Booster pen. I love this guy, I use it all the time. So I just did a very simple line across the top. And then on my bottom lash line, I used this Marc Jacobs highliner. I do have a full video on this as well as an awesome dupe, but since I do have this, I thought I might as well use it, and so I just put this underneath on my lower lash line. For my brows, and it's really important for pictures that you fill in your brows. If you're not doing it already, definitely for pictures, it makes such a difference. You want to have your brows shape your face. So I use this Arbonne Shape It Up pencil. It's like dangerously low right now, so I might also be using this It Cosmetics one. This is the Brow Power, and I just use it in the Universal Taupe shade. And I did use the NYX, this is just the tinted brow mascara, to set them in place, since again you want to have like longevity is the name of the game with photos, anything wedding related, so I just wanted to be sure they stayed in place. And then I'm just going to give my lashes a curl, and then I'm also using the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. I'm going to wait to put on my false lashes until the very end. I don't know why, I just want to wait until I have like the rest of my face on. So I'm just going to do the mascara right now. Okay, so that's all I have for the eyes right now. Once I get on the lashes, I might make them a little bit darker since I tend to do that once I get them on. But right now we're going to move into my favorite part, which is the face. I love perfecting the skin. I do think that it's important to do your eyes first. That way then if there's any fallout, even like here, you know, I'm not too concerned with, because you can go up and clean it up with concealer. So you just have a lot more options when you do your eyes first. So the first thing I already did moisturize. I used this Origins Original Skin. This is their matte moisturizer. I have been loving this. I do have a full review up in case you're interested in it, but it's perfect for before makeup because it dries down and just adds a nice little boost of moisture without leaving any grease on your skin. Like my skin, I feel like looks pretty dang matte, and I just put on moisturizer. Now I definitely have large pores around here and on my forehead, and I wanted to cover those up, so I used this Botanic Farm primer, and this is very much, I would call it more of a balm. It's super thick, so it just comes in a little jar like this and you scrape it out. And I use this just, I took a little bit too much, so I'm going to put some back, but I use this just in the areas where I really need to fill them in. So I press it into the skin here. It smells really good. It's like a nice and clean scent. And then I went in with the Smashbox, the Photo Finish, the Radiance one. For pictures, I think it just looks really pretty underneath the foundation. And I apply this then everywhere else just to kind of smooth. And I would say that a primer is definitely a must-have. I don't want to have any breakdown of product. For foundation, I mixed two Estee Lauder Double Wear, which you guys, I've never had a full bottle of this. I've had a number of samples, but I never actually pulled the trigger, and I was like, you know what? I feel like for wedding related things, it's just something that I want to have, and I'm so happy with it. I have 2N1 Desert Beige. It's pretty fair, which, I mean, if you see my skin, like I'm pretty fair right now, which I am going to do my drugstore self tan routine, and I did do that before my engagement photos to add a little bit of color, but my skin on my face is pretty light because I just match it to my skin down here during the summer. I don't ever tan my face, and I've heard a lot of people say, you know, there's issues with flashback with this, but I also heard that they recently reformulated it. There is no SPF in it, so I think that helps a lot. But because of that, I was a little bit weary of that, so I also use my Makeup Forever HD. I have no doubt that this looks good in photos. It's my favorite high-end foundation. And I wish that I could read what shade I am, but it's all rubbed off, so I'm sorry that I don't know. But you can see there's a pretty big shade difference. This just adds like a little bit of color to it, but I'm just using this. And I use this with a sponge while I'm getting this all blended in. So outfits are a really big, you know, part of engagement photos besides your beauty routine. When you're planning your outfit or outfits, I decided just to do one. You want to coordinate. You don't want to be matchy-matchy. I think something that's really important, just cover that up a little bit, is to be comfortable. And you know, it's easy to get a lot of inspiration from Pinterest, and I think it's very helpful, and I would definitely recommend looking there. But at the end of the day, you have to do what you feel comfortable in. You know, I wanted our outfits to be like what we would wear on a date. I wanted us to look like how we normally look. The double wear mixed with the Makeup Forever. It just gives such a flawless look, and it definitely looks good in photos. Like I said, I didn't have any issues with like a flashback. For concealer, I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape. I use this in light neutral. I love how this goes on underneath. I still have creasing. I always have creasing underneath my eyes. Doesn't matter what product it is, but it's lightweight, but you still get a lot of coverage. And this is going to be a lot. Like, you do not need a ton of this product. And then I go underneath here on my chin. I did not bake for my engagement photos. I opted just to use a little bit of the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. This is the one that has just a little flecks of shimmer in it, just to really brighten and open up this under eye area. You definitely don't want this area to look dark. And I just did a really light dusting, topping off a lot of the excess. Not that I don't like the look of baking, but I just don't want to look too heavy or too overdone. I also wanted to do a little bit of cream contouring, so I used my CoverGirl cream contour kit. It's like this. And I just go into this contour color right here. I like doing cream contour for pictures. It looks natural. You would kind of think it's the opposite because it's, you know, you're literally drawing on your face. But when you blend it in and then you top it with powder, it looks really good, and also is more long wearing, because if the powder were to wear off, you still have this underneath. Take it up above my forehead and my temples, but I mix it with the bronzer as well. I've said it before, but the bronzer is really light in this palette, so it's not my favorite part. And I'm really just going to do it here. I'm not going to do too much around my forehead. Just kind of narrow it out right here. And go right into the hairline. I'm also going to do the cream, contour, the cream highlight. I love this cream highlight so much. It is a gorgeous champagne. And I just pop this right up here. That's something to remember too when if you want to use a highlight for photos, don't go too crazy. It will look really weird if you have a bunch of shimmer. Try to opt for more natural type highlights, or like a cream highlight like this. A lot of people will just go in, you know, with their bronzer, set it, go over everything, but I like to go in first with the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. So this isn't the secret brightening powder, this is just the regular powder. There is no shimmer in it, but I need to set everything else, but I also want to set that cream contour. And the reason why I do that is because that area is a little bit tacky, and sometimes when you put the bronzer right over it, it's going to be patchy because it's clinging to certain areas of that cream contour. So by putting just a little bit of light translucent powder over the top of it, it's not going to change the color. It's not, you know, going to do anything. It's just going to set it. That way that when I put on the bronzer, it'll smooth and you're not going to have that patchy look. And I'm just tapping this on because I don't want to move anything that we laid down, especially over this contour. We're going very old school with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I still love this. I think it's perfect. I love the way it looks, you know, shaping out my face. It just goes on so much smoother having that translucent powder laid down underneath. I've just noticed that when I do like a cream, it wants to cling to certain areas and not look as smooth. So I will go with this a little bit here over my forehead. I think that contouring is definitely something to think about. You know, even if you don't do it much, you know, during your regular routine, but I would say it helps a lot just to kind of shape your face. And I did do my nose as well, just to narrow it out a bit. And then for blush, this is a little Dollar General blush set here. It's really pigmented, powerful blushes. So this dark kind of plummy blush, I mostly just pull back right on top of that bronzer. I love blush, and especially for photos, you want to have that little pop of color. And another really cheap product, don't go crazy with highlighter. This Essence Be My Highlight, it's just a couple bucks, gorgeous champagne. I'm barely tapping this little e.l.f. fan brush. Just do a little bit just to give you like a healthy glow. And then I'm going to go ahead and spray this NYX matte finish setting spray. And then I just kind of like press it in with the sponge just to really lock everything into place. Next thing is lips, and this is something that I really didn't want to have to worry about touching up with. So I used two really long wearing products, the Kat Von D lip liner, and then this is the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Lip Color. So first I just line my lips with this. This is in the shade Lolita. And I do overline slightly, especially for pictures. I feel like you can get away with it a little bit more. I just like my top lip to more match the size of my bottom lip. Then I'm going in with this Maybelline color in Timeless Toffee. It's kind of like a mauve-y rose. So even if you are someone where you love a nude lip, like myself, you still have to wear color on your lips for photos. Otherwise, it's not going to show up and it's going to look like you have no lips, which will look super weird. So do some sort of color. You don't have to do a bright red, you don't have to do a bold berry, but something like this is a really good option. So I love this because I didn't have to worry about touching up or adding any product. So now that it's had a little bit of time to dry, you just go in with this like nourishing balm. It feels so good on the lips. And as you can see, nothing comes off on the balm. Like, this stuff is set. I use these are the 110s. I think these are the Salon Perfect. They are just your very basic lash. These are already warm, but you can see what these guys look like. They look a little bit more like the packaging. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So while I'm waiting for the glue to get tacky, there's no color transfer from my lip color. It's awesome. So my lashes are on. As you can see, I think it makes a really big difference. And something that I did forget to mention that I used for my photos is I did use this Rimmel in the nude pencil and line my inner rim. This is a great tip for photos to really open up and make your eyes pop. I tend to have like smaller eyes, especially when I get a lot of product on, so I like to keep them as open and as big as they can look, so that's why I line my inner rim. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. One other thing that I wanted to mention, just another tip, is I definitely think that it's important to bring just, you know, like a little makeup bag, like something this size, just to have a few touch-up items, and if anything, you know, happens, you have products with you. So I hope that this video helped. If you're interested in more wedding videos and tips and tricks, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!
Standing on the edge of a cliff, realize there must be more to life than this. Reaching for the stars,